Si Bella de la Cruz Roxas ang controlling chairwoman ng De la Cruz Heritage Trust at founder ng Museo Aurelia de Manila. Ang asawa niyang si Adrian Roxas ay CEO ng Roxas Crown Development at may limitadong sponsorship interest lamang sa museo. Sa nakaraang 6 na buwan, ilang paintings, religious sculptures at family jewels ang biglang nagkaroon ng maling inventory status. Habang inihahanda ni Adrian ang isang private gala upang bigyan ng heirloom painting ang mistress niyang si Celeste Manalo, nagpa siya si Bella na pumasok sa museo bilang junior collections assistant na si Mara Santos. Ang painting na balak ibigay ni Adrian ay hindi lamang bawal ilipat. Maaring ito rin ang susi sa pagtuklas ng mas malaking operasyon ng art theft, forged provenance at illegal collateralization. Ang empleyadang nakakita sa nawawalang obra. Nagsimula ang lahat sa isang numerong hindi dapat mawala. 5:30 ng umaga nang buksan ni Ana Lucia Lucy Flores ang Digital Collections Database ng Museo Aurelia. Tahimik pa ang buong building. Wala pa ang mga bisita. Tanging security staff, cleaners at early conservation team ang nasa loob. Bilang junior inventory assistant, tungkulin ni Lucy na ihambing ang electronic records sa physical shelf lists bago ang bawat major exhibition. Binuksan niya ang section para sa De La Cruz Heritage Collection. Dapat, nasa unang linya ang AV 1912,001. Ang huling liwanag sa Pasig Mateo Villarreal Permanent Trust Holding. Ngunit wala iyon. Nag-search siya gamit ang title. Walang resulta. Ginamit niya ang artist name. May 6 na record na lumabas. Ngunit hindi kasama ang pinaka-importanteng painting. Binuksan niya ang archive history. May nakita siyang entry na ginawa 2:11 ng madaling araw. 3 linggo na ang nakalipas. Object status changed. Permanent holding to external conservation loan. Destination San Aurelio Restoration Center. Authorized by Ramon Salcedo. Lucy frowned. San Aurelio Restoration Center was one of the museum's approved partners. But no major Mateo Villarreal work had been scheduled for restoration that quarter. Tinawagan niya ang center. Good morning. This is Lucy Flores from Museo Aurelia Collections. Yes. Ma'am. I am confirming receipt of one painting. Ang huling liwanag sa Pasig. The person checked. We have no work under that title. Maybe it was logged under the inventory number AV1912001. No record. Was any large oil painting delivered from Museo Aurelia 3 weeks ago? 2 small religious panels only. Lucy thanked the staff and ended the call. Her hands became cold. She opened the movement log. The digital lines show the painting left through Service Gate 3 at 207 a.m. The transport manifest listed 5 crates, but the attached scanned approval page was blurred. When Lucy enlarged it, she saw a signature under the name Isabela de la Cruz Roxas. She remembered that date. Madam Bella had been attending a cultural trust conference in Singapore. Lucy had seen the official museum post. The signature could have been digital, but according to policy, a permanent trust holding required chairwoman approval, conservation clearance, insurance confirmation, and 2-person physical release. Only one name appeared clearly. Ramon Salcedo. Lucy printed the movement history. Then she opened the RFID panel. The painting's chip should have remained active even during transport. Instead, the system showed RFID association deleted. She checked the administrator log. The deletion was made from Ramon's office. At 7 in the morning, Lucy knocked on the registrar's door. Ramon Salcedo was already inside, drinking coffee and reviewing gala documents. Sir, may question po ako tungkol sa AV 1912,001. His hand stopped. What about it? The inventory record disappeared. It was moved to an external conservation file. I called the restoration center. They did not receive it. You should not call external partners without clearance. I was verifying the inventory. Ramon stood. He was a tall man, with silver at his temples and the calm voice of someone accustomed to being obeyed. Lucy, the gala is tonight. We have donors, foreign guests and members of the Roxas board coming. This is not the time to create confusion. But where is the painting? On a special handling. Why was the RFID deleted? It was reassigned. To which object? That information is above your level? The chairwoman's signature is on the movement document. Yes. She was overseas. Ramon's expression changed. Are you accusing someone of forgery? No. Sir, I am asking for clarification. Then here is the clarification. The movement was authorized through executive channels. Which executive channels? Mr. Adrian Roxas. Lucy looked at him. Mr. Roxas cannot authorize permanent trust objects. Ramon closed the folder on his desk. You are 26 years old and have worked here for 14 months. Do not explain museum governance to me. I only want the record corrected. The record is correct. Then why did the Restoration Center deny receiving it? You misunderstood them. I confirmed the title and inventory number. Ramon walked around the desk. If you continue contacting partners and questioning protected transfers, your access will be suspended. Sir, give me the printed report. Lucy held the pages tighter. I need it for reconciliation. I said, give it to me. Before she could decide, the office door opened. Dr. Tomas Reyes entered. He was the executive director and chief conservator of Museo Aurelia. Is there a problem? Tanong niya. Ramon answered first. Miss Flores accessed a restricted executive movement file and contacted an external partner without permission. Tomas looked at Lucy. What did you find? The record for A V19-12001 is missing from the permanent collection. Ramon interrupted. It is under external conservation. The center has no record. Sabi ni Lucy. Tomas's face became serious. He looked toward Ramon. Where is the painting? Mr. Roxas requested temporary exhibition preparation? Under whose trust approval? The authorization was processed? Show me. Ramon lifted his chin. The event office holds the final file. Tomas held out his hand. Lucy, give me the printout. She handed him one copy. Ramon's eyes narrowed. One copy? Lucy did not answer. She had printed two. The second was folded beneath the lining of her inventory notebook. Tomas read the movement log. Service gate 3 at 2 in the morning. The gallery team needed privacy. Sabi ni Ramon. For a conservation transfer, it was later redirected to event preparation. Without updating the registry, we were waiting for final placement. Tomas closed the pages. No further record changes regarding the Villarreal painting until I review the object. Ramon smiled without warmth. Then you should speak to Mr. Roxas. It is already installed for tonight. Installed. Lucy's heartbeat quickened. The painting was inside the museum, but someone had removed its original identity from the database before bringing it back as if it were a different object. After leaving Ramon's office, Tomas led Lucy into the conservation corridor. Do you still have another copy? He asked quietly. She looked at him. Yes. Keep it. Sir, Do you know where the painting came from? I know where it should belong. To the trust? Yes. Why would Mr. Roxas think he can move it? Tomas glanced toward the security camera. Because some people confuse funding a museum with owning its collection. Should we tell Madame Bella? She already knows that something is wrong. Lucy stopped. What does that mean? Today, you will be joined by a temporary collections assistant. Who? Mara Santos. At 8:15, Bella entered the employee access door under her assumed identity. Ang transformation was simple but convincing. Her long hair was pinned beneath a short black wig. Her elegant makeup was replaced with tired-looking foundation, thicker brows and faint shadows under the eyes. She wore a beige museum uniform, black framed glasses, and a cloth mask around her neck. Her access badge was valid. Gabriel Tomas's security systems officer had placed Mara Santos in the contractor database under a confidential internal investigation order. Adrian had not lived in the same room with Bella for almost a year. They attended formal events together only when necessary. He was accustomed to seeing her in structured gowns, pearl earrings, and carefully styled hair. He had never seen her pushing an inventory cart through a service corridor. Tomas introduced her to Lucy. This is Mara. She will assist with the Villarreal gallery inventory. Lucy studied her. You have conservation experience? Some? Which museum? Small private collections? You know database reconciliation? Yes. What about RFID? Yes. Lucy looked toward Tomas. She does not sound temporary. Tomas answered. Treat her as part of the audit team. Ramon appeared at the end of the corridor. What audit team? The pre-gala inventory review. Sabi ni Tomas. I was not informed. You are being informed now. Ramon looked at Bella. New staff do not access restricted collection files. She has conservation floor clearance. Approved by whom? By me? Ramon walked closer. Mara Santos. Yes, sir. Sagot ni Bella in a softer voice. Do not touch any object connected to tonight's private presentation without my direct instruction. Yes, sir. And do not ask donors questions. I understand. As he walked away, Lucy whispered. He is afraid. Of what, tanong ni Bella? Of the correct inventory number. They entered storage room 4. According to the database, a framed Mateo Villarreal painting was stored on rack B17. The record title was Morning Fairy, 1,914. Study copy. The listed value was only 8 million pesos. Lucy pulled the rack forward. A large painting wrapped in protective cloth appeared. Together, they placed it on the examination table. Bella removed the cover. At first glance, the work resembled ang huling liwanag sa Pasig. Same river, same red sky, same woman near the pier, but the brushwork was flat. The paint surface was too even. The aged cracks had been artificially created. Lucy looked at Bella. A replica? Yes. How can you tell so quickly? The original sunset layer contains a natural ultramarine mixture with irregular mineral reflection. This one uses modern synthetic pigment. You know the confidential material report? Bella paused. I have studied Villarreal works. Lucy leaned closer to the lower edge. The signature looks convincing. It was copied. How? Probably from high-resolution conservation images. Bella examined the frame. The inventory label AV1912001 had been partially removed. Over it was a new sticker. Study copy educational display. Someone had placed the fake painting into the original storage location. They photographed every detail. Then Bella used a handheld UV lamp. The surface glowed in a pattern that did not match a century-old varnish. This replica was made recently, she said. Lucy swallowed. Then the original is the painting installed for tonight. Most likely. Why bring it back to the museum after stealing it? To make the transfer public. Lucy frowned. A public transfer would create witnesses. It also creates a new story. What story? That the painting belonged to Adrian and he voluntarily gave it to Celeste. Lucy understood. If people believe the painting was Rox's property, the fake records become easier to defend. Yes. They checked the frame cavity. Inside was an old RFID mounting bracket. The chip itself was gone. Bella photographed the serial number. It matched the deleted database association. Tomas entered the room carrying a sealed trust folder. We found a second irregularity. Sabi niya. He placed a transportation manifest on the table. 5 crates had left Service Gate 3 on the same night. The listed destination was San Aurelio Restoration Center. But beneath the printed destination, faint pressure marks remained from the original page. Bella used angled light. A different address appeared. Manalo International Gallery Warehouse. Pasay. Lucy stared at it. Celeste's brother. Marco Manalo. Sabi ni Tomas. What was in the other crates? Tanong ni Bella. The manifest numbers correspond to 4 objects whose database status also changed. Tomas read them. An 1,889 landscape painting, a 17th century religious sculpture, a pearl jewelry casket, and a Mateo Villarreal sketchbook. Bella's face remained controlled, but her eyes changed. The pearl casket had belonged to her grandmother. The sketchbook was one of only 3 known collections of Villarreal's early drawings. This was not one impulsive gift. It was a coordinated removal. Did insurance approve the transfer? Tanong niya. No. Was there any trust board notice? No. Camera footage. 17 minutes were deleted from the loading dock server. Back up. Tomas nodded. The museum's independent disaster recovery server keeps a shadow copy. Security is retrieving it. Lucy looked toward Bella. You expected this. I expected a false record. Not 5 missing objects? No. Tomas gave Bella a small encrypted tablet. The gala office uploaded a transfer document this morning. On the screen was a document titled Interspousal Cultural Asset Contribution and Gift Authority. It claimed that Bella had contributed ang huling liwanag sa Pasig to the Roxas family investment pool as part of marital asset restructuring. At the bottom was her signature. Lucy looked at Bella. Is that real? No. How can you be certain? Because that is my name. Lucy froze. Tomas closed the storage room door. Bella removed her glasses. My name is Isabella de la Cruz Roxas. For several seconds, Lucy could not speak. You are Madame Bella. Yes. You came in as a junior assistant. I needed to see whether records and employees could still tell the truth when no one knew the owner was present. Lucy looked frightened. I questioned you. You should question anyone handling protected objects. I told you about Ramon. That is why I am here. Lucy looked at the false signature again. I thought the chairwoman had approved everything. That was the purpose of the forgery. Does Mr. Adrian know? He knows he does not own the painting. Then why would he sign the removal? Because he believes marriage and sponsorship give him a claim. Will you stop the gala? Not yet. Lucy stared at her. They're going to give away the painting. They will attempt to. Why let them put it on stage? Because Adrian needs to say publicly that he controls it. Tomas understood. If he presents the painting, signs the gift document and orders removal, the event establishes knowledge and possession. Bella nodded. And Marco's people will likely appear to collect it. Lucy looked uneasy. What if they damage it? The painting will not leave the gallery. Security controls have already been changed. And Celeste. She believes she is receiving a gift. Does she know it belongs to the trust? We will find out. By noon, the gala gallery was active. Celeste arrived with her brother Marco, auction consultant Veronica Manalo, and a team of photographers. She wore a pale gold dress and carried a folder marked Roxas Manalo Cultural Partnership. Bella returned to the Mara disguise before entering the exhibition floor. She watched Marco inspect the painting's frame. After the announcement, transport takes it to the private viewing suite. Sabi niya. Celeste smiled. And then, we complete the collateral photographs tomorrow. I thought Adrian was giving it to me. He is? Then why collateral photographs? For insurance and valuation. Whose loan? Marco lowered his voice. Do not ask unnecessary questions here. Celeste looked annoyed. I want the ownership certificate in my name. You will receive a ceremonial gift document tonight. Ceremonial. It supports the public transfer. That is not the same as ownership. Marco glanced at the nearby staff. Bella lowered her head and pretended to check humidity levels. He continued quietly. Once Adrian states the painting belongs to Roxas, we can complete the remaining provenance chain. What if Bella challenges it? Damien has the marital contribution document. Her signature is valid. Valid enough to create a dispute? Celeste's voice became colder. I do not want a dispute. I want the painting. And you will have it. Adrian promised. Then let him make the promise on camera. Bella recorded every word through the badge microphone authorized by the museum's Internal Investigation Council. A few minutes later, Adrian entered. Celeste walked toward him. Everything is ready. He kissed her cheek. The painting will be yours tonight. Bella approached with a condition report. Sir, I need your acknowledgement before the object is presented. He barely looked at her. What acknowledgement? The painting's movement status does not match the trust registry. Ramon handled it. The original inventory code appears beneath the new label. Adrian's expression sharpened. Who told you to inspect that? It is part of pre-event conservation. This is a private Roxas presentation. It is inside Museo Aurelia. He stepped closer. Listen carefully. My company paid for this gallery renovation. I have supported this museum for years. Yes, sir. This painting became part of the family assets after my marriage. Do you have trust approval? You keep asking questions above your position. Celeste walked beside him. She is the same employee from the morning setup. Adrian looked at Bella's uniform. What is your name? Mara Santos. Miss Santos. Paintings have value because people with capital preserve, display and insure them. Bella looked toward the 100-year-old work. And because their history remains accurate. Sir, history is written by the people who keep institutions alive. My wife locked this painting in storage for years. I am giving it a future. To Miss Manalo. Yes. Celeste smiled. Adrian placed his hand on the frame. Tonight, it leaves with her. Bella held out the condition report. Then please sign that you personally authorized the transfer. Celeste looked surprised. Adrian hesitated. Why? For accountability. Ramon already approved it. The registered owner did not. He stared at her. Then pride overcame caution. He took the pen. If a signature is what you need, I will sign. He wrote, Adrian Roxas, executive sponsor and family representative. Bella watched the ink dry. That signature did not make the transfer lawful. It did something more important. It proved Adrian was not merely a passive executive whose access card had been misused. He was personally directing the painting's removal. After he walked away, Lucy approached with an encrypted reader hidden inside her inventory tablet. We scanned the painting's RFID, she whispered. And the chip is still inside the original frame. Movement history. Lucy opened the data. The final authorized removal credential was listed. Bella read the line. Authorized removal credential, Adrian Roxas. Below it was another entry. Vehicle transfer manifest, linked to 4 additional heritage objects. Bella looked toward her husband as he stood with Celeste beneath the gala lights. He believed he was preparing a romantic gift. He did not know that every word, signature, and movement was connecting him to a larger theft. And he did not know the woman pushing the inventory cart behind him had already found the thread tying the missing collection together. Ang larawang may nakatagong kasaysayan. Pagkatapos pirmahan ni Adrian Roxas ang condition report, hindi agad umalis si Bella sa pangunahing gallery. Nagpatuloy siya sa papel ni Mara Santos. Inayos niya ang humidity monitor. Sinuri ang corner protectors at itinala ang bawat taong lumapit sa ang huling liwanag sa Pasig. Sa kabilang bahagi ng silid, nakikipag-usap si Adrian sa mga investor ng Crown Heritage Bay. Katabi niya si Celeste Manalo. Napaulit-ulit na inilalapit ang kamay sa frame habang kinukunan ng litrato. Sa harap ng mga bisita, parang isa lamang iyong mamahaling regalo. Sa records ng museo, isa, iyong protected trust asset. At sa encrypted tablet ni Lucy, isa na itong aktibong ebidensya. The RFID history is incomplete. Bulong ni Lucy habang nakatayo sa likod ng inventory card. Which part is missing? 17 minutes around the loading dock transfer. The same 17 minutes deleted from the camera server. Yes? Then the systems were altered together. Lucy enlarged the RFID log. The painting left storage 4 at 153 A.M. It passed Conservation Corridor B at 159. Service Gate 3 opened at 207. The chip stopped transmitting at 209. Then, 3 weeks later, it reappeared inside the Mateo Villarreal Gallery at 426 A.M. Who reactivated it? Tanong ni Bella. The system says maintenance recovery. User? Lucy hesitated. Ramon Salcedo. Bella looked toward the registrar, who was standing near the stage and speaking to Marco Manalo. Ramon appeared calm. He had spent years learning how to make illegal movements look like administrative corrections. But every correction had a timestamp. Every timestamp had a user. And every user could be compared with door logs, camera footage, and transport manifests. Tomas approached carrying a small conservation case. We recovered the disaster server video, sabi niya. Complete? Not completely. The loading dock was obscured for part of the transfer, but the corridor camera survived. Who appears? Adrian, Ramon, Marco, and 2 transport workers. Lucy's eyes widened. Mr. Roxas was physically present. Yes? Bella felt no surprise. She had already seen his access credential in the RFID record and his signature on the report. Still, physical footage would remove another possible defense. Where can we review it? Conservation Lab 2. Bella glanced toward Adrian. He was smiling while Celeste introduced him to a foreign collector. He did not know the backup footage existed. Keep the gala running, sabi ni Bella. We review it now. They left the gallery through a staff corridor. Inside Conservation Lab 2, Tomas locked the door and activated the secure monitor. The video began at 1:49 a.m. The corridor was dim. Ramon appeared first, wearing a dark jacket instead of his museum uniform. He used his access badge to open storage room 4. 2 minutes later, Adrian entered through the private sponsor corridor. He did not look confused or surprised. He spoke briefly with Ramon and pointed toward the rack where the painting had been stored. Marco arrived with 2 transport workers pushing padded crates. The audio was weak, but several phrases were clear. Use the Roxas vehicle manifest. Do not scan the old collection label. Remove the trust tag before loading. Then Adrian's voice. My wife does not need to know until the financing is complete. Lucy covered her mouth. Tomas paused the recording. Bella looked at the frozen image of her husband, standing beside the open storage rack. He knew the trust tag had to be removed. Yes, sabi ni Tomas. He knew I had not approved it. Yes? Lucy spoke carefully. Could he still claim he thought it was marital property? He may claim many things. Sagot ni Bella. But this footage shows he knew the museum registry would object. Tomas resumed the video. Ramon removed the visible inventory label from the rear frame. Marco wrapped the painting. One transport worker asked, Destination. Marco answered, Manalo warehouse first. Crown valuation team tomorrow? Adrian corrected him. No. The paperwork shows restoration. If anyone asks, it never went to the gallery. The footage then shifted to the loading corridor. 5 crates were placed onto a black transport truck. The license plate matched the vehicle registered to Manalo International Gallery at 2:09 a.m. The camera froze. 17 minutes disappeared. When the recording resumed, the truck was gone. Bella stared at the empty loading bay. They did not steal only one painting. No, sabi ni Tomas. The 5 crates confirmed the manifest. Lucy opened her preserved records. The other 4 objects were marked differently. She listed them one by one. The 1,889 landscape was recorded as a long-term educational loan. The religious sculpture was marked for pest treatment. The pearl jewelry casket was listed as moved to the family office. The Mateo Villarreal sketchbook was marked as digitized and returned, but none of the destination institutions confirmed receiving them. Bella's voice became colder. They spread the theft across different categories so no single audit would connect them. Exactly, sabi ni Tomas. Who approved the categories? Ramon. And who signed the executive release? Adrian's credentials appear on all 5. Lucy looked toward Bella. Maybe they copied his access? Bella shook her head. He was physically present. Tomas opened another file. There is more. The insurance records showed a temporary valuation request submitted 2 days after the transfer. The requesting company was Crown Heritage Bay Development Corporation. The requested insured value for ang huling liwanag sa Pasig was 480 million pesos. The 4 other items were collectively valued at 920 million. Total tanong ni Bella, 1.4 billion pesos. The exact amount missing from Adrian's hotel project. Lucy understood first. They were using the collection to fill the financing gap. Tomas nodded. Not necessarily selling everything. Some pieces were being presented as collateral. Bella opened the attached lender memorandum. It described the works as Roxas Family Cultural Assets under private investment control. There was no mention of De La Cruz Heritage Trust. No mention of permanent collection restrictions. No mention that Adrian held no ownership. Who prepared this, tanong niya? Damian Vergara's office. Lina, a private credit consortium in Singapore. Did the loan close? Not fully. A bridge facility of 300 million pesos was released against preliminary collateral representations. Bella looked at the painting valuation. That means money has already been borrowed using stolen property. Yes. And the lender may believe the museum transferred title. Yes. She closed the file. Notify Trust Council. We need an emergency preservation notice to every lender and insurer connected to Crown Heritage Bay. Tomas nodded. Beatrice is preparing them. Do not alert Damien yet. You still want the gala to continue? Yes. Lucy looked uncomfortable. Madam, if they are already using the painting as collateral, why? Let Adrian give it to Celeste. Because the public gift creates a conflict in their own story. How? The lender was told the painting is controlled by Roxas Crown. Celeste is being told it will belong personally to her. Marco is preparing it for gallery custody. Veronica is preparing a private sale. Tomas understood. They promised the same asset to multiple parties. Bella nodded. Tonight, I want them to say which story they are using. Back in the gallery, Celeste was reviewing a ceremonial gift document with Veronica Manalo. Bella returned to the display in disguise and adjusted the protective barrier. She could hear them clearly. The certificate should say permanent transfer, sabi ni Celeste. Veronica shook her head. Not yet. Why not? Because the trust dispute is unresolved. Adrian says there is no trust issue. Adrian says many things. Celeste lowered her voice. I want my name on the ownership record. You will receive a public gift acknowledgement. That is not ownership. It supports possession. Marco told me the painting would be mine. Marco told you what was necessary to secure cooperation? Celeste's eyes narrowed. What does that mean? Veronica looked around before answering. The work is already connected to Crown Heritage Bay financing. Celeste Fosse? Adrian used my gift as collateral. Technically, the project used a portfolio. He promised it to me. And after refinancing, the lien can be released. When? When the project stabilizes? That may take years. Then you will have an extremely valuable painting associated with your name while the structure is resolved. Celeste stepped closer. I did not agree to become the public face of collateral. Veronica's expression hardened. You agreed to become cultural ambassador because you wanted status. Status has structure behind it. Celeste looked toward Adrian across the gallery. Does he know? He knows the painting supports the project. Does he know Marco is preparing a sale? Veronica did not answer. Bella's attention sharpened. As sale? Not only collateral. Celeste repeated the question. Does Adrian know about the buyer? Not everything must be discussed before the gala. What buyer? Veronica closed the folder. Ask Marco. She walked away. Celeste remained beside the painting, no longer smiling. When Adrian approached, she immediately confronted him. You used the painting for a loan. He glanced toward nearby guests. Lower your voice. You said it was mine. It will be? When? After the financing cycle? So I am receiving a mortgaged gift. It is part of a temporary collateral package. Temporary? The hotel project needs liquidity. You told me this was proof that I mattered more than Bella. It is. A loan document does not prove that. He took her arm. Tonight, I will publicly transfer it to you. And the lender? Damien will release the lien after the next capital round. What if he does not? He will. Celeste looked toward Marco. And the private buyer. Adrian's expression changed. What buyer? She saw the answer in his face. You do not know. Who told you that? Veronica. Adrian turned toward Marco, who immediately looked away. Bella lowered her head over the humidity meter, but she recorded the exchange. For the first time, Adrian realized the people around him might have used the painting beyond the purpose he approved. He knew he had taken it. He knew he had used it to support financing. He knew he intended to give it away without Bella's permission. But he had not known Marco and Veronica were preparing an actual sale. That did not make him innocent. It made him one member of a scheme who had not understood the entire scheme. Later that afternoon, Lucy entered Ramon's office under the excuse of retrieving exhibition labels. Bella accompanied her as Mara. Ramon was not there. His computer was locked, but the physical registration cabinet remained open. Lucy located a folder marked External Conservation Q Tray. Inside were 5 altered object reports. Each report had the same structure. Original inventory number removed, new temporary code assigned, destination listed as restoration, trust signature copied, Adrian's executive approval attached, and a final note stating the object could be reclassified after ownership consolidation. Bella photographed every page. Then she found a second envelope. It contained replacement labels for the 5 objects. The labels identified them as part of Roxas Manalo Private Cultural Collection. Lucy whispered, "They already printed a new history." Bella picked up the label for Ang Huling Liwanag sa Pasig. The provenance line read, "Acquired by the Roxas family through marital contribution. Liangselingi si Joe." The date was the year she married Adrian. No sale. No trust transfer. No board approval. The marriage itself had been turned into a fictional acquisition event. They used the wedding date as provenance. Sabi ni Lucy. Yes? That is absurd. It may sound plausible to someone who does not inspect the trust document. A door closed in the corridor. Ramon returned. Bella quickly placed the papers back while Lucy stood beside the cabinet. "What are you doing?" tanong niya. "Retrieving the updated labels," sagot ni Lucy. "I told you those files were restricted." The gallery team requested the final object cards. Ramon looked at Bella. Why is she here? To carry the materials. He approached the cabinet. "Did you open this folder?" Lucy did not answer quickly enough. Ramon grabbed the envelope and counted the pages. His eyes moved toward the hidden badge camera on Bella's uniform. But he did not recognize it. "Both of you leave." Lucy remained still. Sir, the labels identify trust assets as Roxas Manalo property. That classification is under executive review. There is no approved review. Ramon stepped closer. You have already been warned. You threatened to suspend me for finding a missing painting. I can suspend you now. Bella spoke softly. Sir, Dr. Tomas assigned us to the gallery audit. I outrank a temporary assistant. Yes? Sir. Then do not interfere. He turned to Lucy. Give me your access badge. No. Ramon stared at her. What did you say? The badge belongs to the museum, and only HR or doctor. Tomas can revoke it during an active audit. His face hardened. You think the chairwoman will protect you? Lucy looked briefly at Bella. I think the records should protect me. Ramon reached for her badge. Bella stepped between them. Sir, there are security cameras. He stopped. For 1 second. His anger overcame caution. Then he lowered his hand. Leave my office. They obeyed. In the corridor, Lucy exhaled shakily. I thought he would take it. You held your ground. Because you were there. Bella looked at her. The system must protect you even when I am not. At 5 in the afternoon, Attorney Beatrice arrived through the trust entrance. She brought the original charter, signature specimens, and the non-transferable asset list. Inside the secure boardroom, she compared Bella's real signature with the one on the marital contribution document. The forged signature was lifted from your 2021 insurance renewal, sabi niya. How can you tell? The pressure pattern and digital edge are identical. Who accessed that file? Ramon. Damian and Adrian's legal administrator? Can we identify who created the composite? Forensic review is ongoing. Beatrice opened another document. Veronica Fine Estates has prepared a private sale catalog. Which objects? The sketchbook and the 1,889 landscape are listed under anonymous European ownership. Buyer. A Hong Kong collector through a shell company. Sale date. Tomorrow morning? Lucy looked alarmed. They plan to sell them immediately after the gala. Yes. Sabi ni Beatrice. The gala creates the public narrative that the collection moved out of De La Cruz's control. What about the painting? Not listed for immediate sale. Because it secures the loan. Partly. Beatrice looked at Bella. Marco has also used it to obtain a gallery credit line. The same painting supports 2 facilities. Yes. And Celeste is being told she will own it. Yes. Tomas placed the full transport manifest on the table. At least 3 parties believe they have rights over the same work. Bella closed her eyes briefly. A 100-year-old painting had been turned into a romantic gift, a hotel project collateral asset, a gallery credit guarantee, and a possible future sale. Its history had been rewritten every time someone needed money or status. When does the gala presentation begin? Tanong niya. 7:30? Sagot ni Tomas. Then we preserve everything until Adrian makes the public statement. Beatrice looked at her carefully. Once he gives the order to remove the painting, we intervene. Yes. And if he does not, he already signed the condition report. That proves direction. But the public transfer will prove intent more clearly. Bella nodded. At 7, the guests began filling the main hall. Adrian stood near the stage while Damien reviewed loan documents on a tablet. Bella, still dressed as Mara, moved behind them with the inventory cart. She heard Damien say, "The bridge lender wants confirmation that the artwork remains under Roxa's control." Adrian replied, "Tonight's presentation confirms that. You are giving it to Celeste. Publicly. Then the certificate must describe her as cultural custodian, not unrestricted owner. She expects ownership. She can expect whatever keeps her cooperative." Adrian looked at him. "What does that mean?" "After refinancing, the structure can be adjusted." "And Marco's buyer?" Damien became still. "Who told you about that?" "So there is a buyer." "For another work?" "Which one?" "The sketchbook and landscape. You told me nothing would be sold before the loan closed." "The sale supports the liquidity plan. Without my approval. You signed the portfolio authority. I signed collateral authority. The annex includes disposition rights." Adrian's face changed. "You put sale authority in the annex. You approved the package." "I did not approve selling Bella's family collection." Damien lowered his voice. "You approved using it to save the project. That is not the same. Legally, the distinction depends on ownership." Adrian stared at him. "And you told me Roxas controlled the ownership. Based on the contribution document." "The forged document." Damien's expression did not move. "You signed after reviewing counsel's summary." Adrian stepped closer. "You knew Bella had not signed." "You knew too." Silence passed between them. Bella heard every word. Adrian had just lost the right to claim complete ignorance. He knew the signature was not genuine. He knew Bella had not approved the contribution. He had allowed Damien to use the document because it gave him the control he wanted. Celeste approached wearing a white and gold gown. "Are we ready?" Damien smiled professionally. "Yes." She looked at Adrian. "Tonight, you will say it belongs to me." He hesitated. "Yes." "Not as custodian. We will use the language approved by council." "You promised ownership." "Celeste, do not create a problem now." She stepped back. "I am the reason people came." "No, they came for the painting." Her face hardened. "And after tonight, they will associate it with me." Damien turned away to answer a call. Celeste leaned toward Adrian. "Marco said you will carry all legal responsibility if Bella challenges the transfer." Adrian looked at her sharply. "Why would he say that?" "Because the signatures are yours." "And what do you keep? The painting?" "While I keep the lawsuit, you wanted to prove you controlled the collection?" "I wanted us to build something together." "We are." "For whose family?" Celeste did not answer. A few minutes later, Bella's encrypted tablet vibrated. Lucy had recovered one final deleted message from the Manalo Gallery server. Bella opened it. "Marco, once Adrian makes the public gift, the false provenance becomes credible. Veronica, the lender and buyer, will rely on his statement. Damien all-access credentials and executive approvals remain under Adrian. Celeste If de la Cruz Suez. He takes responsibility. We keep the painting, the loan, and the sale money." Bella read the line twice. She felt no pity for Adrian. He had knowingly removed trust property. He had signed false authority. He had planned to use the painting to save his company and humiliate his wife. But the people beside him had planned to leave him with every consequence. Tomas approached quietly. "The UV lamp, RFID scanner, and trust records are ready. Security. Controlled. No artwork can pass the exit barrier. Camera? Every gallery angle is recording. Beatrice joined them. Emergency notices are prepared for the lenders, insurers, and buyer. Bella looked toward the stage. Adrian was about to transform stolen property into a public symbol of love. He thought the gala would make the false ownership story stronger. He did not understand that the same cameras would record his possession, his statement of ownership, his gift, his transfer order, and his connection to the other missing assets. Bella adjusted the glasses of Mara Santos. Let him begin. The ballroom lights dimmed. The painting was moved beneath the central spotlight. Celeste stood beside it. Adrian walked toward the microphone. And in the rear of the gallery, the woman he believed was a junior employee watched every witness turn toward the stolen masterpiece. Ang regalong naging ebidensya. Nang lumiwanag ang pangunahing gallery, tahimik na lumitaw sa gitna ng entablado ang huling liwanag sa Pasig. Ang painting ay nakalagay sa isang espesyal na stand na may velvet barrier at dalawang discreet na security sensor. Sa ilalim ng spotlight, mas malinaw ang mapulang langit, ang mga bangka sa ilog at ang nag-iisang babaeng nakatayo sa pantalan. Sa harap nito, nakangiti si Celeste Manalo sa mga camera. Suot niya ang puti at gintong gown na idinisenyo upang magmukhang moderno at maharlika. Sa kanyang leeg ay nakasabit ang isang antique pearl pendant na kabilang din sa temporary museum display. Sa gilid ng gallery, nakatayo si Bella sa anyo ni Mara Santos. May hawak siyang inventory tablet at conservation gloves. Sa ilalim ng simpleng uniform, nakatago ang encrypted badge camera at earpiece na konektado kina Dr. Tomas Reyes, Attorney Beatrice at Security Control. Sa screen sa likod ng painting ay lumitaw ang title, Roxas Manalo Cultural Partnership. Pagkatapos ay pinakita ang mga larawan ni Adrian at Celeste sa iba't ibang museum events, hotel openings at private dinners. Walang larawan ni Bella. Wala ring banggit sa De La Cruz Heritage Trust. Ang host ay lumapit sa microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we celebrate the union of business, culture, and a new generation of Filipino patronage. Nagpalakpakan ng mga guest. Ipinakilala niya si Marco Manalo bilang one of Asia's rising private gallery leaders. Umakyat si Marco sa stage dala ang isang leather folder. This painting, sabi niya, has long been associated with the cultural legacy of the Roxas family. Sa control room, narinig ni Beatrice ang linyang iyon. False provenance statement recorded, sabi niya sa earpiece. Hindi kumilos si Bella. Nagpatuloy si Marco. Through marriage, patronage, and private preservation, ang huling liwanag sa Pasig entered a new chapter under the stewardship of Mr. Adrian Roxas. Sa screen ay lumitaw ang isang simplified provenance timeline. 1912, painted by Mateo Villarreal. 1936, acquired by a private Filipino family. 1987, entered a private cultural foundation. 2019, contributed to the Roxas family collection through marriage. 2026, transferred to the Roxas Manalo Cultural Partnership. Ang pangalan ng De La Cruz family ay tinanggal sa bawat linya. Tumingin si Bella kay Lucy, na nakatayo malapit sa gallery door. Naghigpit ang mukha ng batang inventory assistant. Hindi lamang nila binago ang ownership record. Isinulat nilang muli ang mahigit isang siglong kasaysayan upang suportahan ang paglilipat na gagawin sa gabing iyon. Itinaas ni Marco ang leather folder. Our gallery has completed a full provenance review. Mula sa audience, nagtanong ang isang foreign collector. Was the transfer from the foundation unrestricted? Sumagot si Marco ng walang pag-aalinlangan. Yes. The asset entered private family control through valid marital contribution. Narinig ni Bella si Beatrice sa earpiece. Second false statement recorded. Binuksan ni Marco ang folder at ipinakita ang kopya ng pekeng contribution document. Legal records confirm that the work may now be assigned by the Roxas family representative. Pagkatapos ay tinawag si Adrian sa entablado. Naglakad siya patungo sa painting habang pumapalakpak ang mga bisita. Tiningnan niya ang obra hindi bilang bahagi ng kasaysayan ng pamilya ng kanyang asawa, kundi bilang solusyon. 480 milyong pisong valuation. Isang bridge loan. Isang paraan upang mailigtas ang Crown Heritage Bay. Isang regalo upang patunayan kay Celeste na mas mahalaga ito kaysa kay Bella. At isang pagkakataong ipakita sa kanyang asawa na kaya niyang magpasya sa kinabukasan ng koleksiyon nang walang pahintulot nito. Kinuha niya ang microphone. When Isabella and I married, two families brought their histories together. Humigpit ang hawak ni Bella sa inventory tablet. Nagpatuloy si Adrian. I invested years of capital, relationships and resources into preserving Museo Aurelia and bringing its collection to a larger audience. May ilang bisitang tumango. Totoo ang bahaging iyon. Tumulong si Adrian sa renovation, fundraising at pagdadala ng mga donor. Ngunit ginamit niya ang isang tunay na ambag upang bigyang katwiran ang maling konklusyon. Culture cannot remain locked away. Sabi niya, it must live through people willing to give it a future. Tumingin si Celeste sa kanya na may inensayong emosyon. Humarap si Adrian sa mistress. Celeste has shown a deeper understanding of how art can inspire a new generation. Naalala ni Bella kung paano tawagin ni Celeste na dukha at mapapalitan ang mga museum employee. Naalala niya ang paghingi nitong maging legal owner nang hindi man lamang alam ang pinagmulan ng painting. Kinuha ni Adrian ang ceremonial gift certificate. Tonight, as family representative and executive patron of Museo Aurelia, I transfer ang huling liwanag sa Pasig to Celeste Manalo. Napuno ng camera flashes ang gallery. Inilagay ni Celeste ang isang kamay sa kaniyang dibdib. Adrian, ibinigay nito sa kaniya ang certificate. Tinanong siya ng host, Miss Manalo, what does this gift mean to you? Humarap si Celeste sa audience. It means Adrian has not only given me a painting, he has given me a place in the history of his family. Sa likod ng gallery, bumulong si Lucy. De la Cruz History. Mahinang sumagot si Bella. Let her finish. Nagpatuloy si Celeste. I will protect this work, share it internationally, and ensure it is no longer hidden inside private storage. Lumapit si Marco. After tonight, the painting will be placed under Manalo International Gallery's Private Cultural Management Program. Iyon ang linyang hinihintay ni Bella. Tumingin siya kay Tomas. Prepare the scan. Humarap si Adrian kay Ramon Salcedo. Proceed with the transfer. Sumenya si Ramon sa dalawang art handler na naghihintay sa tabi ng padded transport frame. Lumapit ang mga lalaki sa painting. Lumabas si Bella mula sa staff line. Please stop. Huminto ang mga handler. Tumingin si Adrian mula sa stage. Miss Santos, this is not the time. The object cannot be released without final RFID and condition verification. Lumapit si Ramon sa kaniya. I already cleared it. The chip record shows a protected trust classification. That record was replaced. A registrar cannot replace ownership. Nagsimulang magbulungan ang mga bisita. Nawala ang ngiti ni Celeste. Tumigas ang boses ni Adrian. I personally authorized the transfer. Tumingin si Bella sa kaniya. Yes, sir. Your signature and access credential are both recorded. Nagkaroon ng bahagyang kasiyahan sa mukha ni Adrian, na para bang sapat na iyon upang tapusin ang usapan. Then move aside. Sa halip, umakyat si Doktor. Tumas sa stage dala ang official RFID reader at isang sealed conservation file. Mr. Roxas, sabi niya, the museum must complete verification before any protected object crosses the exit boundary. Kumunot ang noo ni Adrian. You report to the museum board. I-represent the principal sponsor. You do not override the collection trust. Humakbang si Marco sa pagitan nila. Our legal review confirms private ownership. Then the scan should create no problem. Sagot ni Tomas. Tumahimik ang audience. Ibinigay ni Tomas ang reader kay Bella. Sa paningin ng lahat, siya pa rin si Mara Santos. Lumapit siya sa frame at ipinadaan ang device sa ibabang gilid nito. Umilaw ang green indicator. Pagkatapos ay lumitaw sa display. Object identified, AVE1912001. Title ang huling liwanag sa Pasig. Owner de la Cruz, Heritage Trust. Classification, permanent, non-transferable holding. Removal status, unauthorized. Lumakas ang bulungan sa buong silid. Tinitigan ni Celeste ang screen. That database was not updated. Lumapit si Lucy dala ang printed system history. It was updated. Sabi niya. Then the original record was deleted. Masama siyang tiningnan ni Ramon. You are violating restricted file policy. Sumagot si Tomas. She is preserving an ownership record. Itinaas ni Marco ang forged contribution document. This work entered Roxas family control in 2019. Tumayo si Attorney Beatriz mula sa front row. No, it did not. Naglakad siya patungo sa stage dala ang Certified Trust Charter. The De La Cruz Heritage Trust prohibits the sale, gift, collateralization or marital transfer of this painting without trust board approval and the written consent of Isabela de la Cruz Roxas. Tumingin si Adrian sa kaniya. My wife signed the contribution. Ipinakita ni Beatrice sa screen ang dalawang pinalaking signature image. Ang una ay mula sa tunay na insurance renewal ni Bella noong 2021. Ang ikalawa ay mula sa contribution document. Parehong-pareho ang pressure pattern, digital edge at microscopic ink breaks. This is not a second signature, sabi ni Beatriz. It is a copied image. Nagbago ang mukha ni Marco. Tumingin si Celeste kay Adrian. You said the transfer was valid. It was prepared by counsel. Which counsel? Tanong ni Beatrice. Walang sumagot. Binuksan ni Tomas ang conservation file. There is also a physical identification mark. Maingat na pinihit ni Bella ang painting gamit ang secured rotating stand. Sa likod ng frame, itinuro ni Tomas ang maliit na triangular restoration patch. This patch was applied after the painting suffered moisture exposure in 1987. Its dimensions, fiber direction and pigment residue are recorded in a confidential conservation map. Ipinakita sa screen ang archival photograph. Eksaktong tumugma ang hugis. This confirms that the work on stage is the original trust painting. Sabi ni Tomas. Not a replica and not a newly acquired Roxas asset. Ipinakita ni Lucy ang larawan ng peking painting na natagpuan sa Storage Room 4. The object left in the original rack is a recent replica. Mas malakas ang naging reaksyon ng mga bisita. Isang collector ang nagtanong. So the real painting was removed and replaced? Yes, sagot ni Tomas. Dahan-dahang umatras si Ramon. That replica was intended for educational use. Why was it placed in the original storage position? Tanong ni Bella. Tiningnan siya ni Ramon. You are an assistant. Stop speaking as if you led this inquiry. Tinanggal ni Bella ang face mask. Mas lalong tumahimik ang silid. Inalis niya ang black-framed glasses. Pagkatapos ay hinubad niya ang maikling bob wig. Bumagsak sa kanyang balikat ang mahaba niyang buhok. Nawalan ng kulay ang mukha ni Adrian. Bella? Lumayo si Celeste sa painting. You were Mara? Yes. Bumaba si Adrian mula sa stage. You entered the museum in disguise. Under an authorized internal collection protection investigation. You deceived me. I listened while you described trust property as yours. You could have spoken to me privately. I did. For 6 months, I asked why collection records were changing. You never told me you suspected theft. I did not know how much you knew. Tumingin si Adrian sa mga kamera. This is a personal ambush. Hinarap siya ni Bella. You brought the painting onto a public stage, declared yourself its owner, and ordered it removed. I believed it had become marital property. Then why did you tell Ramon to remove the trust label? Natigilan si Adrian. Lumitaw sa malaking screen ang backup video mula sa gabi ng paglilipat. Makikita si Ramon na binubuksan ang storage room 4. Dumating si Marco kasama ang transport workers. At nakatayo si Adrian sa tabi ng painting. Narinig ang audio. Do not scan the old collection label. Remove the trust tag before loading. Pagkatapos ay ang boses ni Adrian. My wife does not need to know until the financing is complete. Walang nagsalita sa audience. Tinitigan ni Adrian ang screen. You restored the deleted footage. The disaster recovery server retained it, sabi ni Tomas. Humarap si Celeste sa kaniya. You knew Bella had not approved the transfer. Sumagot si Adrian. I intended to return the painting after the project refinancing. You told me it was mine. It would have been released later. So, the gift was not real. Tumingin si Bella kay Celeste. The gift was real enough to establish his intent. It was never lawful enough to establish your ownership. Sinubukan ni Marco na isara ang leather folder. Lumapit ang security. Nagsalita si Beatrice. Mr. Manalo, the provenance file and all transfer documents must remain inside the museum pending legal preservation. You cannot seize private gallery records. They concern a trust asset removed through false documentation. Tumayo si Veronica Manalo mula sa audience. This event is becoming defamatory. Tumingin sa kanya si Bella. Then perhaps you should explain the private sale catalog. Nagbago ang screen. Lumitaw ang Mateo Villarreal sketchbook at ang 1889 landscape. Parehong nakalista bilang pag-aari ng isang anonymous European collection at nakatakdang ibenta ng pribado kinabukasan. Tumigas ang mukha ni Veronica. That catalog was preliminary. The objects belong to the same trust, sabi ni Beatriz. We relied on provenance supplied by Marco. Mabilis na sumagot si Marco. Damien's office supplied the ownership structure. Napunta ang tingin ng lahat kay Damian Vergara. Nanatili muna siyang nakaupo bago dahan-dahang tumayo. The works were included in a collateral portfolio authorized by Mr. Roxas. Itinaas ni Bella ang 5-crate manifest. Collateral portfolio? Tumingin si Adrian kay Damian. You told me only the painting would support the bridge facility. The lender required additional coverage. You added the other objects. You signed the portfolio authority. I signed a summary. The annex listed the full schedule. Tumaas ang boses ni Adrian. You hid sale rights in the annex? Malamig na sumagot si Damian. You knew the collection did not belong to you. Do not pretend the annex is the only problem. Mas mabigat ang linyang iyon kaysa sa anumang paratang na maaaring sabihin ni Bella. Naloko si Adrian tungkol sa lawak ng plano. Ngunit kinumpirma ni Damian na hindi siya naloko tungkol sa pangunahing pagnanakaw. Inilagay ni Bella ang manifest sa ilalim ng document camera. Lumitaw ang 5 crate number. Bawat isa ay konektado sa nawawalang object. Pagkatapos ay ipinakita niya ang RFID movement record. Authorized Removal Credential, Adrian Roxas. Vehicle Destination Manalo, International Gallery Warehouse. Your access opened the storage route. Sabi ni Bella. Your signature directed the transfer. Your statement tonight claimed ownership. Tiningnan siya ni Adrian. I did not authorize the private sales. But you authorized the removal. I was trying to save Crown Heritage Bay. With my family's collection, I plan to replace the financing. With what? The next capital round. And if it failed? Hindi siya sumagot. Lumapit si Celeste kay Damian. What happens to the painting if the lender enforces the loan? It becomes part of the collateral remedy. You told me the lien would be released. That was the intended outcome. And Marcos Gallery credit line? Mabilis na tumingin si Adrian kay Damian. What gallery credit line? Ipinakita ni Bella ang isa pang file. Ang parehong painting ay ginamit din bilang security para sa hiwalay na financing facility ng Manalo International Gallery. Tumanggi si Marco. That was only an indicative valuation. The lender issued a preliminary release based on it. Sabi ni Beatrice. Humarap si Adrian kay Marco. You pledged the same painting. Tumingin si Marco kay Damian. You approved the cross-collateral structure. I approved nothing under my own name. Sagot ni Damian. The executive authorization came from Adrian. Nagbago ang mukha ni Celeste. Isa-isa. Ang mga taong nagpakilalang partners ay nagsimulang ilipat ang responsibilidad sa lalaking nagbukas ng pintuan. Pagkatapos ay ipinakita ni Bella ang recovered message thread. Marco, once Adrian makes the public gift, the false provenance becomes credible. Veronica, the lender and buyer will rely on his statement. Damian, all access credentials and executive approvals remain under Adrian. Celeste If de la Cruz. Suez? He takes responsibility. We keep the painting. The loan and the sale money. Binasa ni Adrian ang huling linya. Sa loob ng ilang segundo. Hindi siya gumalaw. Pagkatapos ay tumingin siya kay Celeste. You plan to leave me with everything. Mahigpit na hawak ni Celeste ang ceremonial certificate. You were the one taking the painting. For us? For your project. You wanted it. I wanted the painting. I did not ask you to forge Bella's signature. You knew the provenance was disputed. I knew your wife would object. That is not the same. Pumutol ang boses ni Bella sa kanilang pagtatalo. It is the same pattern. Pareho silang tumingin sa kaniya. Adrian knew the work was not his. Celeste knew his claim depended on removing my name. Marco knew the provenance was false. Damian knew the signatures would remain under Adrian. Itinuro niya ang painting. You each told yourselves that only one part of the theft belonged to you. Sumenya si Tomas sa security team. Inilayo ang transport handlers mula sa obra. Naglock ang gallery door sa collection protection mode. No object leaves Museo Aurelia tonight? Sabi niya. Ibinigay ni Beatrice ang formal notices sa mga kinatawan ng lender, insurer at buyer na dumalo sa gala. The trust disputes every collateral, transfer and sale claim connected to these objects. Tumingin si Veronica sa exit. Hindi siya pinigilan ng security na umalis bilang tao. Ngunit may opisyal na tumayo sa tabi ng kaniyang document case. You may leave, sabi ni Beatrice. The records remain. Tinangka ni Ramon na alisin ang kaniyang access badge. Humakbang si Lucy sa harap niya. Please place it on the table. You have no authority over me. Sumagot si Tomas. She is acting under the collection lockdown order. Tumingin si Ramon kay Bella. Ang empleyadong kaniyang pinagbantaan ay nakatayo na ngayon sa tabi ng tunay na chairwoman. Hawak ang mga log na hindi niya nawasak. Inilapag niya ang badge. Registrar access suspended pending investigation. Sabi ni Tomas. Humarap si Adrian kay Bella. What do you want me to do? Step away from the painting. It was never going to disappear. 4 other objects already did. I did not know they would be sold. You knew they were removed. I thought Damien was arranging temporary collateral. Against property you did not own? I was desperate. For your project? For thousands of employees? Then you should have told your board the project needed capital. They would have stopped construction. So you risked the museum instead. Mahinang nagsalita si Adrian. I believed I could fix it before you found out. That is not protection. What is it? Using someone else's history to buy yourself more time. Patuloy na nagre-record ang mga kamera. Ang gala na idinisenyong patunayan ang kapangyarihan ni Adrian ay nag-iingat na ngayon ng kaniyang mga salita, kaniyang pirma, kaniyang access history, kaniyang utos sa transportasyon, at koneksyon niya sa 4 pang nawawalang asset. Humarap si Bella sa audience. This painting will return to secure conservation storage after a complete condition review. Tumingin siya kay Lucy. The other 4 objects will be recovered through legal and international preservation orders. Pagkatapos ay hinarap niya si Adrian. You believe you were presenting a gift. Inilagay niya ang forged certificate sa tabi ng 5 Great Manifest. But what you actually presented was proof of possession, knowledge and intent. Nakatayo si Adrian sa ilalim ng footage ng loading dock. Ang painting na ginamit niya upang pahangain si Celeste ang naging pinakamalinaw na ebidensya laban sa kaniya. Inilapit ni Bella ang glove hand sa gilid ng frame nang hindi hinahawakan ang painted surface. You thought you were giving away a family heirloom. Hindi niya inalis ang tingin sa asawa. You just confirmed before every camera in this room that you controlled stolen property. Ang CEO na ginamit ang kasaysayan bilang pautang. Hindi agad ibinalik sa regular storage ang huling liwanag sa Pasig matapos ang gala. Sa halip, dinala ito sa Secure Conservation Laboratory sa ilalim ng 3 antas ng proteksisyon. Nasa harap ng bawat pinto ang Museo Aurelia Security, Independent Trust Representative at isang External Art Loss Investigator. Hindi na sapat ang ordinaryong museum procedure. Ang painting ay naging sabay-sabay na. Protected heritage asset, suspected stolen property, disputed collateral, evidence of falsified provenance, at sentro ng isang corporate financing investigation. Ang 4 pang nawawalang object ay inilagay sa International Preservation Alert. Walang auction house, shipping company, insurer o lender na maaaring legal na humawak sa mga iyon nang hindi inaabisuhan ang De La Cruz Heritage Trust. Sa Conservation Lab 2, maingat na inalis ni Dr. Tomas Reyes ang painting mula sa ceremonial display frame. Nakatayo sa tabi niya sina Bella, Lucy Flores at 2 conservator. Any new damage, tanong ni Bella. Minor pressure marks on the rear frame? Sagot ni Tomas. Likely from repeated transport brackets? The painted surface, stable. And the triangular patch, untouched. Lucy looked relieved. At least they did not restore over the identification mark. They could not, sabi ni Tomas. The patch is under the backing layer. Removing it would risk permanent damage. Bella looked at the painting beneath the soft laboratory light. 114 na taon na ang obra. Nalampasan nito ang baha, digmaan, sunog sa isang ancestral house at mga dekada ng pagbabago sa lungsod. Ngunit halos nawala ito dahil sa utang ng isang hotel project at sa pagnanais ng isang lalaki na magmukhang makapangyarihan sa harap ng kaniyang mistress. Seal the frame. Chip and all packaging materials separately. Sabi ni Bella. Yes. Madam Chairwoman? Do not restore the pressure marks yet. Tomas understood. They are part of the movement evidence. Yes. Sa labas ng laboratory, naghihintay si Adrian kasama ang 2 abogado ng Roxas Crown Development. Tinanggal na ang gala decorations. Wala na ang press wall. Wala na rin ang portrait ni na Adrian at Celeste. Ang natira lamang ay temporary evidence barriers at staff na naglilista ng bawat dokumentong iniwan ng mga bisita. Nang lumabas si Bella, agad siyang nilapitan ng asawa. I need to speak with you privately. Your counsel should remain present. This is between us. It stopped being only between us when you used the painting as loan collateral. Adrian looked toward Lucy and Tomas. Send the staff away. Bella's expression hardened. They are museum professionals involved in the investigation. I am not discussing my marriage in front of employees. You discussed my supposed lack of authority in front of them. His lawyer touched his arm. Mr. Roxas, do not continue without counsel. Adrian pulled away. I did not steal 5 objects. Bella remained calm. You personally authorized their removal. I authorized a temporary collateral package. Without ownership. I believe the marital contribution document was enforceable. You admitted knowing I had not signed it. I knew you had not signed that version. What other version did I sign? He did not answer. There was none. Sabi ni Bella. Damien told me the trust approval could follow. You removed the assets first and planned to ask for approval after obtaining the loan. The project was days away from default. That does not make my family collection emergency capital. Thousands of people work on Crown Heritage Bay. And thousands of employees depend on the trust and museum. I intended to replace the collateral. With what? The next investor tranche. That investor had already withdrawn. Adrian's face changed. How do you know that? Because the lender file disclosed the financing gap? You accessed confidential corporate records. They were attached to claims against trust assets. Bella stepped closer. You brought your company's crisis into my museum? He lowered his voice. I panicked. You planned? I was under pressure. You scheduled a nighttime transfer. Removed trust tags. Accepted a forged signature and presented the painting publicly as yours. That was Damien's structure. You stood beside the open storage rack. He looked away. You have the video? Yes. Then, you know I did not touch the other crates? You directed the operation. I thought they contained supporting pieces for the collateral portfolio. Exactly. He returned his eyes to hers. I did not know Marco would sell them. That is the part you did not know. Bella did not allow him to expand that small truth into innocence. But you knew they were not yours. Sa kabilang bahagi ng museo, sinimulan ng legal and security team ang search sa office ni Ramon Salcedo. Hindi na siya pinayagang pumasok ng mag-isa. Ang kanyang access badge, external drives at registry keys ay inilagay sa evidence bags. Sa unang cabinet, natagpuan ang altered condition reports, replacement inventory labels, copies ng forged trust approvals, at transport permits bearing Adrian's executive authorization. Sa ilalim ng drawer, may maliit na black notebook. Nakasulat doon ang mga code. M01, M03, R2, V4. Katabi ng bawat code ay halaga at petsa. Lucy compared the dates with the missing object movements. They match. Thomas looked at the first entry. M1 was recorded the day after the painting reached Manalo Gallery. The amount beside it? PAHP 4. Ubay? Ling Lin Ling. Another entry matched the transfer of the sketchbook. PHP 2. Liambay. Ling Ling Ling? Ramon had not merely changed records. He had been paid for each object. Sa internal interview room, umupo siya sa harap ni Bella, Thomas, Beatriz, at external counsel. My client will not answer questions that may expose him to criminal liability. Sabi ng kanyang lawyer. That is his right. Sagot ni Beatriz. But his administrative access remains suspended. Ramon looked at Bella. You entered the museum under a false identity. I entered under an authorized investigation assignment. You recorded employees without disclosure. The badge system recorded conversations in areas covered by museum security and corporate investigation notices. You manipulated me into speaking. I asked where the painting was. You wanted me to fail. I wanted the correct record. He laughed without humor. You trusted Lucy more than the registrar who served this museum for 19 years. Lucy preserved a missing inventory record. She is inexperienced. She knew a trust asset could not disappear because a senior employee said the file was restricted. Ramon leaned back. Your husband brought the money that renovated half this museum. And you decided his money gave him control over the collection. He had influence. Influence is not ownership. He told me the trust transfer would be completed. Did you see my approval? No. Did you know the signature was copied? Silence. Bella opened the black notebook. Did Marco pay you for each object? Ramon looked at his lawyer. No answer. Did Damien instruct you to hide the movements as restoration and treatment? Still no answer. Did you install replicas? His expression changed slightly. That was enough for the investigators to note. The administrative hearing ended with Ramon permanently removed from registrar authority pending final disciplinary and legal proceedings. Every collection change he made during the previous 2 years was placed under review. The investigation did not stop at the museum. Based on the transport manifest and recovered server messages, a court-authorized preservation order was served at Manalo International Gallery's warehouse in Pasay. Marco arrived before investigators completed the inventory. You cannot search private consignments without distinguishing gallery property from disputed trust objects, sabi niya. The lead investigator held up the order. We are preserving records and objects identified by serial number. This will destroy my gallery. If the objects are lawful, the documentation will show it. Inside the climate-controlled warehouse, they found dozens of crates. Some were legitimate consignments. Others had no complete provenance file. At the rear, behind a movable exhibition wall, was a locked storage room not shown on the warehouse floor plan. Marco refused to provide a code. Security opened it under the order. Inside were 3 of the 4 missing De La Cruz objects. The 1,889 landscape, the pearl jewelry casket, and the Mateo Villarreal sketchbook. The religious sculpture was not there. The landscape had been placed inside a new European-style frame. The original inventory label had been removed. A replacement brass plate read, Private Iberian Collection. acquired 1,974. The sketchbook had been divided into separate protective sleeves, as if its pages were being prepared for individual sale. The pearl casket had been photographed beside a jewelry catalog carrying the Veronica Fine Estates logo. Marco's face lost color. These were temporarily held for valuation. Under whose authorization, tanong ng investigator? Roxas Crown. That company does not own them. We relied on documents provided by Damian Vergara. Did you verify the trust records? We relied on executive representations. Did you know the museum registry identified them as De La Cruz assets? Marco did not answer. The investigators found another file in the hidden room. It contained a sales schedule. The 1,889 landscape and sketchbook were due to leave the Philippines through a bonded art shipper the following morning. The buyer was not a museum. It was a shell company linked to a private collector. The expected sale proceeds. PHP 620. Ling Ling. Ling Ling. The funds were to be divided among Crown Heritage Bay Development, Manalo International Gallery, Veronica Fine Estates, and a named transaction consultants. No payment allocation returned to Museo Aurelia or the De La Cruz Heritage Trust. Marco was removed from all museum partner programs. His gallery access was permanently revoked pending investigation. Every loan and consignment record associated with him was frozen. Veronica's auction company received its own preservation notice. She insisted she was only an intermediary. We do not determine ownership, sabi niya during questioning. We rely on the seller's provenance. Beatrice placed the false provenance timeline before her. Your company prepared this. Using information from the gallery, you removed the De La Cruz name. Marco represented that the collection transferred through marriage. Did you request the trust deed? No. Did you request Bella's original transfer approval? We had a contribution document. Did you verify the signature? No. Did you know the buyer wanted confidentiality because of a possible ownership dispute? Veronica paused. Her own email was displayed. Proceed before De La Cruz issues a formal objection. Once exported, the dispute becomes a private title matter. She looked toward her lawyer. The interview ended. Her company lost access to Museo, Aurelia Works, donor lists, and private viewing facilities. The private sale was cancelled. But the fourth missing object, the 17th century religious sculpture, remained unaccounted for. The transport data showed it had left Manalo's warehouse 2 weeks earlier. Its listed destination was a conservation laboratory in Hong Kong. The laboratory denied receiving it. The shipping company produced a revised manifest. Final destination: Crown Heritage Bay Private Chapel Storage. The object was inside Adrian's unfinished hotel project. Bella personally joined Tomas and the cultural property investigators at the construction site. The building stood beside Manila Bay, unfinished and surrounded by cranes. Inside the future chapel, wrapped in plastic behind temporary walls, they found the sculpture. No museum case, no climate control, no proper humidity protection. Only a construction site storage crate with the Casa Aurelia Museo Aurelia label scratched away. Tomas examined the wooden surface. There is moisture exposure? Bella's expression tightened. Can it be stabilized? Yes, but it must return immediately. The project manager approached them. We were told this was a Roxas family devotional object intended for the chapel. Who delivered it? Tanong ni Bella. Mr. Damian's office coordinated the transfer. Did Adrian approve the placement? The manager checked the file. Yes. There was his signature again. Adrian had not simply allowed the sculpture into a collateral portfolio. He had used it as decoration for a hotel chapel while falsely representing it as family property. By evening, all 5 missing objects were back under trust protection. But the legal and financial damage continued to unfold. At Roxas Crown Development Headquarters, the board convened an emergency hearing. The agenda included unauthorized use of cultural assets, misrepresentation to lenders, forged ownership documents, hidden gallery transactions, and the 1.4 billion peso funding gap at Crown Heritage Bay. Adrian sat at one end of the boardroom. Damian Vergara sat opposite him. Celeste attended with counsel because her messages, gift certificate and beneficial interests, were part of the review. Independent Director Marina Esteban chaired the hearing. She began with the bridge loan. 300 million pesos was released based on preliminary collateral representations. Sabi niya. Damian nodded. Yes. Did the company own the collateral? We relied on marital contribution and executive control records. Were those records verified with the De La Cruz Heritage Trust? No formal confirmation was obtained. Why not? The transaction was urgent. Marina looked toward Adrian. Did you know Bella had not approved the transfer? He remained silent for several seconds. Yes. Did you know the contribution signature was not original? I knew she had not personally signed the final version. That is not the same answer. I suspected the document had been assembled from prior approvals. The board members exchanged looks. Marina continued. And yet you allowed it to be presented to lenders. I believe the trust would ratify after refinancing. Did Bella ever indicate she would ratify? No. Did you ask? No. Why? Because she would have refused. The room became quiet. Adrian had admitted that the false process existed precisely because the true owner would not consent. Marina turned toward Damian. Did you tell the board that additional trust objects would be sold? The liquidity plan included asset disposition. Did you identify those assets as De La Cruz Heritage Trust property? They were presented as part of the Roxas-controlled cultural portfolio, which you knew was disputed. Yes. Did you receive a fee connected to the bridge facility? Damian's lawyer objected. Marina displayed the agreement. A consulting company owned by Damian was scheduled to receive PHP. Ling ling ling. 000 success and restructuring fee. Adrian stared at him. 18 million. It covered lender negotiation and asset structuring. You are the CFO. The crisis required work beyond ordinary scope. You created the crisis structure and paid yourself to arrange it. I did not create the project deficit. You hid the deficit from the board. Damian's face remained controlled. I managed timing risk. You used Bella's collection to hide it. You approved the portfolio. And you added sale authority? You signed the annex. Adrian stood. You keep returning to my signature. Because every disputed authorization is under your name. The exact wording from the secret messages. Marina displayed the recovered conversation. Damian, all access credentials and executive approvals remain under Adrian. Marco, once the public gift is made, the false provenance becomes credible. Celeste, if De La Cruz West. He takes responsibility. We keep the painting, the loan, and the sale money. Adrian turned toward Celeste. You were receiving 12% of the project representation fees. She lifted her chin. That was for cultural branding. You were also receiving gallery shares. Marcus' company offered an option. You told me the painting was about us. It was about giving your family control over the collection. You were the one who took it. For the hotel project. And to humiliate Bella. He froze. Celeste continued. You wanted to prove you could give me something that came from her family. That does not mean you could sell everything. You already opened the storage door. The words landed heavily. Bella was not in the room yet, but the board understood the pattern. Adrian had started the theft by deciding that Bella's consent did not matter. Damian, Celeste, Marco and Veronica then expanded it for their own benefit. Marina ordered a short recess. After deliberation, the board announced immediate actions. Damian Vergara was suspended as CFO. His banking, lender, project finance, and vendor authority was revoked. His personal consulting arrangements were referred to regulators and external investigators. Celeste was removed as cultural advisor and spokesperson for every Roxas Crown project. Her image fees, gallery share options, and ambassador appointments were cancelled. Then Marina addressed Adrian. Mr. Roxas, you knowingly authorized removal of assets you did not own? I believed I could restore them. You knowingly relied on a signature not personally given by Bella. I believed ratification would follow. You knowingly avoided requesting consent because you expected refusal. Adrian looked down. Yes? You also misrepresented the painting as Roxas' property before lenders and gala guests. Yes. And you ordered it transferred to Miss Manalo? Yes. The final answer was barely audible. The board issued its resolution. Adrian Roxas was suspended as CEO and executive chairman pending final legal and financial review. His access to Crown Heritage Bay funds, Museo Aurelia, partnerships, and collection-related contracts was revoked. He stood abruptly. You cannot suspend me during the project's most dangerous week. The project became dangerous because the board was denied accurate information. Sabi ni Marina. Without me, the lenders may call the loans. They already may. The company needs me. The company needs lawful restructuring. Adrian looked toward the glass doors. Bella had been waiting outside with Beatrice. When she entered, he walked toward her. Tell them the collection will remain available until refinancing. No. If you withdraw the collateral, Crown Heritage Bay may collapse. The trust already issued ownership notices. Thousands of jobs will be addressed through a lawful restructuring plan. There is no time. There was time before you hit the deficit. You can save the project, not by risking cultural assets. You helped build my company, and you helped renovate the museum. Then help me one last time. Bella looked at him. You are not asking for help. What am I asking? For me to pretend your theft was a temporary financing decision. I intended to return everything. The sketchbook was scheduled for sale. I did not approve that. You approved the removal that made the sale possible. I was used by Damien and Celeste. Yes. Then defend me. No? His expression changed. You know I did not plan the entire scheme? I know. Then why will you not tell the board I am also a victim? Because being betrayed by your partners does not erase what you did before they betrayed you. I took the painting to save a project. You took it because you believe your need was more important than my ownership. I was desperate. You were still responsible. He lowered his voice. I am your husband. You remembered that when you needed access to my family collection? That is unfair. You publicly gave our heritage to your mistress. We have been separated for months. We were still legally married. That has nothing to do with the financing. You used a forged marital contribution to justify it. Adrian had no answer. Bella placed the original trust charter on the table. You did not lose access to the museum because I revealed myself as chairwoman. She pointed to the non-transfer clause. You lost it when you decided that paying for renovations allowed you to rewrite who owned the history inside. Adrian looked toward the board. Will I ever be allowed back? As a visitor who follows museum rules? Perhaps. And as a sponsor? No. You are ending every connection between Roxas Crown and Museo Aurelia. I am ending the authority you abused. He looked exhausted. What happens to Crown Heritage Bay? Independent restructuring. And if it fails? Then it fails without selling my family's history. He clenched his jaw. You would let a ₱1 billion project collapse to protect paintings. Bella looked directly at him. No. I would let a dishonest financing structure collapse to protect the law, the museum, and every person whose property you believe could be used without consent. Back at Museo Aurelia, the 5 recovered objects were placed inside secure conservation rooms. Lucy stood beside the pearl casket while completing its restored inventory record. The original code returned to the database. The false Roxas Manalo labels were preserved as evidence. No employee could alter the record without 2 independent approvals. Tomas watched her work. Are you afraid to press save? He asked. A little. Why? Because someone deleted this history once. Bella entered the room. That is why one person will never be able to delete it again. Lucy looked toward her. What happens now? We audit every movement, every loan and every restoration status for the last 5 years. And Ramon? He receives due process? Marco and Veronica. The investigations continue. Celeste. She no longer has access to the museum. And Mr. Adrian. Bella looked through the glass toward ang huling liwanag sa Pasig. He will face the consequences of the records he created. Lucy lowered her voice. Do you hate him? Bella remained silent for a moment. I hate what he chose to do. Is that different? Yes. Does it make forgiveness easier? No. The conservation lights dimmed automatically. Beneath them, the restored objects rested in their rightful places. Bella looked at the painting her husband had tried to transform into money, status, and proof of love for another woman. Adrian believed history was valuable because it could secure a loan. She turned toward Lucy and Tomas. But history has value precisely because it cannot be replaced after someone spends it. Outside the conservation room, Adrian's sponsor name was being removed from the restricted access list. For years, he had entered Museo Aurelia through private doors because Bella trusted him. Now, every private door had closed. Not because he lacked money. Not because the museum had forgotten his donations. But because he had used generosity as an argument for ownership and history as collateral for his ambition. Ang babaeng nagbalik ng mga pangalan sa kanilang lugar. 10 buwan ang lumipas bago muling ipinakita sa publiko ang huling liwanag sa Pasig. Hindi dahil nasira ng malubha ang painting. Hindi rin dahil kailangan itong itago sa kahihiyan. Ginamit ng Museo Aurelia ang panahong iyon upang kumpletuhin ang forensic condition review. Ibalik ang original inventory trail. ihiwalay ang lahat ng pekeng label at dokumento, at tiyaking walang lender. Gallery o private buyer ang maaaring muling mag-angkin ng karapatan sa obra. Sa conservation laboratory, maingat na nilinis ni Dr. Tomas Reyes ang maliliit na pressure marks sa likod ng frame. Hindi niya inalis ang triangular restoration patch. Mananatili iyon bilang bahagi ng tunay na kasaysayan ng painting. Ang RFID chip ay hindi pinalitan. Sa halip, nilagyan ito ng bagong tamper-evident housing at multi-signature access protocol. Ang lumang record na minsang binura ni Ramon Salcedo ay ibinalik sa database. AV 1912,001, ang huling liwanag sa Pasig Mateo Villarreal, Permanent Non-Transferable Holding de la Cruz Heritage Trust. Sa ilalim nito ay idinagdag ang isang bagong preservation note, recovered after unauthorized removal and attempted false transfer. Ownership history verified and restored. Hindi itinago ni Bella ang pangyayari. Ngunit hindi rin niya hinayaang maging sensational exhibit ang krimen. This is not a trophy of my victory. Sabi niya sa museum board. It is evidence that systems fail when authority is trusted without verification. Sa loob ng unang 6 na buwan, inaudit ng external provenance team ang bawat object movement na inaprubahan ni Ramon sa nakaraang 5 taon. Mahigit 2,000 records ang sinuri. Karamihan ay tama. Ngunit 23 files ang may incomplete insurance approvals, altered destination codes, missing secondary signatures, o unexplained changes sa ownership description. 14 sa mga iyon ay administrative errors. 4 ay legitimate loans na hindi maayos ang documentation. 5 object lamang ang bahagi ng operasyon ni Ramon, Marco, Damian at Adrian. Ngunit sapat ang 5 iyon upang ipakita kung paano maaaring sirain ang isang buong system gamit ang senior access, executive pressure, forged approvals, at takot ng junior employees na magsalita. Permanenteng tinanggal si Ramon bilang registrar. Sa final disciplinary hearing, hindi niya itinanggi na binago niya ang records. Ang depensa niya, I believe the assets would remain within institutions connected to the museum. Bella answered, You changed ownership labels, accepted payments, and installed replicas. I did not sell the objects. You made them sellable. I followed instructions from powerful people. You were the person responsible for making sure powerful people could not erase the registry. Ramon looked toward Lucy. She should never have accessed those files. Bella remained calm. She accessed the record because an object disappeared. She did not understand the larger transaction. She understood the one fact that mattered. What fact? That the painting was missing. Ramon lost his museum credentials and professional accreditation pending the legal investigation. The Black Notebook. Payment transfers and altered records were submitted to cultural property authorities. Marco Manalo's gallery was forced to disclose every consignment connected to Museo Aurelia, Roxas Crown, and Veronica Fine Estates. Several collectors returned objects voluntarily after learning their provenance files were unreliable. Manalo International Gallery did not close immediately, but its reputation collapsed. The gallery lost museum partnerships, major insurers, international shipping privileges, at 3 private lenders. Marco continued insisting that he had relied on executive representations. But the hidden warehouse, replacement labels and sales schedule proved he had done more than receive disputed property. He had helped create the false history required to sell it. Veronica Fine Estates also lost access to major cultural institutions. The private buyer withdrew. The shell company used for the sale was identified. The planned export of the sketchbook and landscape became part of the ongoing investigation. During her final interview with investigators, Veronica said, Every auction house depends on seller-provided provenance. The investigator replied, "Not when the seller tells you to proceed before the real owner can object." The religious sculpture recovered from Crown Heritage Bay required 4 months of stabilization. Moisture had entered the wood during construction site storage. The damage was reversible, but only because Tomas and the conservation team found it in time. Bella visited the laboratory every week. She did not touch the sculpture. She stood behind the glass and watched conservators repair the consequences of a decision made in a corporate boardroom. Adrian had seen the object as decoration for a hotel chapel. The conservators saw original carving marks, old devotional paint, smoke residue from family altars, and centuries of religious practice. That is what he never understood. Sabi ni Bella kay Lucy. "What, Madam?" He saw an object that could make a space look important. "And you saw history." "I saw responsibility." Lucy received more than a promotion. The museum board created a new department, Collection, Integrity and Provenance Protection Office. Lucy became its first deputy supervisor. At 27, she was younger than most department heads. Some senior employees questioned the decision. "She lacks years of experience," sabi ng isang curator. Bella answered, "Experience matters." "Then why appoint her?" "Because experience did not stop the theft." The curator became quiet. Bella continued. She found a missing number. She verified the destination. She preserved the printed record. And she refused to surrender evidence when threatened. Lucy was given authority to freeze suspicious object movements, request independent signature verification, contact external institutions directly, preserve digital audit logs, and report executive interference without passing through the registrar. No single employee could now delete an RFID association, change a permanent trust classification, approve external movement, or overwrite an ownership field. Every protected object movement required registrar approval, conservation approval, trust representative signature, insurance confirmation, and an immutable digital archive entry. When Bella handed Lucy her new badge, the young employee looked at the title. "I do not know if I am ready." "You were ready when no one promised to protect you." I was terrified. Courage is not the absence of fear. What if I make a mistake? Then document it, report it, and correct it. What if a powerful person orders me to ignore something? Bella smiled faintly. "Ask them for the order in writing." Lucy laughed for the first time in weeks. Roxa's crown development survived, but not in the form Adrian had intended. The board abandoned the financing plan built on cultural assets. Crown Heritage Bay entered lawful restructuring. 3 hotel towers were reduced to 2. The private chapel became a community event space. Several non-essential luxury features were cancelled. New investors entered only after full disclosure of the funding deficit, independent review of every collateral claim, replacement of Damian's finance team, and permanent separation from Museo Aurelia assets. Damian Vergara was removed as CFO. His 18 million peso success fee was cancelled. The bridge lenders pursued repayment from Roxa's crown under revised terms. His consulting vehicle and undisclosed benefits became part of a regulatory investigation. At the final board hearing, Damian insisted. Adrian approved every critical decision. Marina Esteban answered. And you designed documents to ensure he carried every visible authorization while you collected a hidden fee. He was the CEO. You were the CFO. He knew the assets were disputed. And you knew the provenance was false. Neither man could use the other's guilt as a substitute for his own responsibility. Celeste Manalo disappeared from museum events. Her cultural ambassador title was declared void. The ceremonial gift certificate was preserved in the evidence archive. The white and gold gown she wore at the gala appeared in dozens of news photographs. But the image that followed her was not one of elegance. It was the moment she stood beside a painting she believed had been stolen for her, and still demanded that her name be placed on the ownership certificate. She tried to restore her reputation through an online interview. "I was deceived," sabi niya. "Adrian told me the painting was legally his." The interviewer asked, "Did you know Bella had not approved the transfer?" Celeste paused. "I knew there was a family disagreement." "Did you know the contribution document was disputed?" "I was told council would resolve it." "Did you write that Adrian would take responsibility while your family kept the painting?" Loan and sale money. That message was taken out of context. What context makes it acceptable? Celeste ended the interview early. Her contracts with luxury brands were not all cancelled, but none renewed her as a cultural spokesperson. Marco's gallery share option became worthless. The painting never entered her name. Adrian's final board hearing lasted nearly 5 hours. The directors acknowledged his genuine accomplishments. He had expanded Roxas Crown from 3 properties to 14, created thousands of jobs, negotiated international partnerships, supported Museo Aurelia renovations, and built profitable hotel operations before Crown Heritage Bay. But they also found that he had hidden the true funding deficit, approved use of assets his company did not own, relied on a forged marital contribution, authorized nighttime removal, misrepresented ownership to lenders, publicly gifted a protected painting, and avoided asking Bella for consent because he knew she would refuse. Adrian stood before the board. "I was manipulated by Damian." "Yes," sabi ni Marina. "Celeste and her family intended to leave me responsible." "Yes. I did not approve the private sale." "That is also true." "Then why remove me permanently?" "Because your innocence regarding one layer does not erase your knowledge of another." "I believed the collection could be restored after refinancing." "You treated restoration as permission." "I was trying to save the project." "You were trying to save your position without telling the board the truth." He looked around the table. "I built this company. And then you exposed it to liability by using stolen collateral." The vote was final. Adrian was permanently removed as CEO and executive chairman. He retained the shares and assets lawfully belonging to him. He was not stripped of everything, but he no longer controlled company funds, museum partnerships, cultural projects, or Crown Heritage Bay restructuring. For the first time in many years, his name opened fewer doors than the records he had signed closed. Bella met him one last time in the original family gallery of Museo Aurelia. The room was closed to the public. Ang huling liwanag sa Pasig gung behind protective glass. Sa pagitan nila ay divorce documents, a property separation agreement, an acknowledgement that no De La Cruz Trust asset formed part of their marital estate, and a permanent termination of Roxas Crown's private museum access. Adrian looked at the painting. "You returned it to the same wall." "It belongs here." "Do you look at it and remember what I did?" "I remember many things. Our wedding. The painting was displayed at the reception. You stood beside it in your grandmother's dress." "Yes. I thought marrying you meant becoming part of this history. You became part of my life, not the owner of everything in it." He lowered his eyes. "I understand that now. You understood it before." He looked at her. I convinced myself that my money gave me a right. You funded renovations. I brought donors. You did. I helped the museum grow. Yes. Then why did 5% always feel like nothing? Because you did not want recognition. What did I want? Control. He remained silent. After a moment, he asked, "Can the marriage be saved?" No. I admitted what I did. After the records prove it, I am taking responsibility. You are facing consequences. Is there a difference? Yes? What would responsibility look like? Not asking the person you harmed to protect you from the result? He looked toward the painting. I loved you. I believe part of you did. And the other part, love what standing beside my family name did for you. That is cruel. It is honest. He touched the divorce papers but did not sign immediately. Do you hate Celeste more than me? No. Why? She could not open the museum storage without you. The answer silenced him. Do you hate Damien? I do not need hatred to hold him responsible. And me. Bella looked at the river painted more than a century earlier. I hate the choice you made. Can you forgive me? Perhaps one day? Would that change this? She placed her hand on the divorce agreement. No. He finally signed. Before leaving, Adrian stopped at the gallery door. Am I banned from Museo Aurelia? You are prohibited from sponsor access, storage areas, and private collection events. As an ordinary visitor, you may buy a ticket? He gave a sad laugh. After everything, you would let me enter. A museum should not become a private weapon. What if I stand in front of this painting? You may look at it. What if people recognize me? That is yours to face. What if I apologize publicly? Do not use an apology as a new performance. What should I do? Then, tell the truth when investigators ask. He nodded. Then he left through the same public corridor used by every visitor. 1 year after the gala, Museo Aurelia opened a new permanent exhibition. Mga pangalang hindi dapat burahin. The exhibition was not about Adrian, Celeste, or the scandal. It focused on provenance. Visitors learned how inventory numbers protect objects, conservation marks verify identity, shipping records reveal movement, family archives establish ownership, and junior staff can stop powerful people from rewriting history. One display showed a blank replica frame. Beside it was a short explanation of how false labels can change the story of an object without changing the object itself. The forged Roxas Manalo provenance label was displayed as an educational example. The names of private suspects were omitted while investigations remained ongoing. But the lesson was clear. A lie about ownership often begins by erasing the first name in the record. Lucy led the first student tour. She stopped before the inventory display. A collection record may look like a list of numbers, sabi niya. But each number connects an object to the people responsible for protecting it. A student raised his hand. What happens if the number disappears? Lucy looked toward Bella, who was watching from the rear of the gallery. Then someone must ask why. The restored Ang Huling Liwanag sa Pasig was revealed at the end of the exhibition. No dramatic music, no celebrity host, no luxury brand wall. The guests included conservators, museum workers, art students, family archivists, cultural property investigators, and representatives from the communities supported by Museo Aurelia. The label beneath the painting restored every part of its history. painted by Mateo Villarreal. Itzenjo by Isoar. Acquired by Aurelia de la Cruz. Itzenjo by Sanchilo. Protected through the De la Cruz family collection. Transferred to the De la Cruz Heritage Trust. Itzenjo by Bashutsi. Placed under the permanent care of Museo Aurelia de Manila. No Roxas Manalo Cultural Partnership. No fictional marital contribution. No false private collection. Every name had returned to its rightful place. A reporter approached Bella after the unveiling. Madang de la Cruz, do you see this painting as a symbol of your husband's betrayal? Bella looked toward the work. No. Why not? The painting existed long before my marriage. And it will remain after the divorce. Yes? Then, what does it symbolize? Responsibility. The responsibility of an owner. The responsibility of everyone temporarily trusted with something that should survive them. The reporter glanced toward Lucy. Was your disguise necessary? It revealed how people behaved around an employee they considered unimportant. What surprised you most? That the truth survived because a junior assistant printed one missing record. Do you regret not confronting Adrian earlier? Yes. What would you have changed? I would not have confused silence with dignity. The reporter asked one final question. Adrian said art has value because people with money preserve and insure it. Do you agree? Bella looked at the student studying the restoration map. Money can preserve a painting. She turned toward the staff who had recovered the 5 missing objects. But money does not decide where history belongs. The gallery doors opened. Visitors entered slowly. No one was allowed to touch the painting. No one could remove it. No one could change its label with a private instruction. And no one standing before it needed to know Bella's wealth before being treated with respect. Lucy approached with the final digital verification tablet. Madam Chairwoman, the public display record is ready. Bella reviewed it. 5 approvals appeared. Conservation, registry, trust, insurance, collection, integrity. At the bottom was an empty field for the chairwoman. She signed. The record locked automatically into the permanent archive. Lucy smiled. No one can delete it alone now. That is the point. Bella looked once more at ang huling liwanag sa Pasig. Adrian had believed the painting's greatest value was the loan it could secure. Celeste believed its value was the status it could give her. Marco believed its value was the price of a secret buyer. Damien believed its value was a problem it could temporarily hide. Bella understood something different. Its value was not only in surviving a century. Its value was in the people who refused to let someone rewrite where it came from. She turned toward the open gallery. Let the visitors in.